Hi there, Internet. It's Anthony, and I'm about to do another reaction with my good friend.
Island.
And we are about to watch another episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So this is season 4, episode 4, Fear Itself. So based off the title, Fear Itself, do you have any guesses of what this episode might be about or what might happen?
Playing on everybody's fears, definitely. It's probably what everybody is like truly scared of, or they might tie it together with some common thing that's like extra scary, you know?
Yeah. I wonder if it, like, because you say playing on everybody's fears. That's kind of like what they did in Nightmare, right? Where people were. I wonder if it could have any like callbacks to that or anything.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, yeah, that sounds like a pretty good prediction. I think it's definitely going to involve fear of some kind. So can't wait to see what all is going to happen. So let's go ahead and get into it. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, season 4, episode 4, Fear Itself.
What do you think, Buff?
Oh snap! It must be Halloween.
Halloween. That's what I was about to say. The Halloween episode
Grow up in the sun.
is a big one for Buffy.
She's still suffering a little post-Parker depression.
Bailing on the Buff. Does anyone else want to smack that guy?
Usually in a shot like this, you see her with Angel.
Yeah, ain't no Angel now to run to. Ooh.
What the hell's wrong with you, lady?
That was a little eerie.
And also, I mean, like, who cares if it's Halloween? You don't just go jumping out in somebody in the dark at night with a mask on.
But then we were all caught off guard when Ethan turned everyone into their costumes.
True, but what happened then was anomalous. I mean, creatures of the night shy away from Halloween. They find it all much too crass.
Hard to believe.
That was the only was that the only Halloween episode so far? The one where they all turned into their costume, or has there been any others?
I think that was the only one, but I could be wrong though.
Because so many Buffy episodes seem like they could be Halloween episodes just because they got scary stuff in them.
Lame. You want me to call Oz? He can probably hook us up. Do it.
Yeah, Oz will hook you up.
Is there any holiday that's not about getting laid? Arbor Day. Call Oz, dude. Done. And oh,
I want to know
you
the
wanted to
explanation
sing
for
with the
that.
paint upstairs?
It's probably funnier without knowing, though.
Halloween isn't a night for responsibility. It's when the ghosts and goblins come out.
That's actually a misnomer.
Buffy has had enough of ghosts and
Yeah, what are you
goblins.
Well, I am gonna sit here and grade papers.
Scary.
Very.
And he was talking about her.
Thanks for the pep talk, Coach.
Don't make fun. I work long and hard to get this pompous.
Why do I feel like they're gonna get together?
Wow, peeled. You guys know how to spoil your guests.
Xander, have you not learned your lesson about just eating anything you see lying around?
The bowl and tell him it's eyeballs.
It's like, I know they know no better, but as an audience member of Buffy the Vampire Slayer,
I'm just gonna trim the wire.
I have a feeling it's never a good idea to be drawing something pentagonic on the floor.
Playing with knives? Fun, yes, but not safe.
Dang,
Yep.
that really sucks.
So nobody just saw this warp in the space-time continuum, like, what? Or, oh my gosh!
That's something I didn't expect. But how did they get in the circle?
That's definitely not gonna get that guy laid, though. Yeah.
We're gonna have the best time.
Hi, you thought. Look at, they don't look like they're having the best time. The camera work is just going crazy here. It's just all over the place. It's kind of cool. It's not the way they usually capture stuff.
Again.
Okay, now they're back on the steady cam. Did he just die? I would be so mad if I died from falling down some stairs.
Okay.
She's so scared already. You haven't even seen anything yet, Willow.
Do you hear something? Like a squeaking noise?
Oh, it's these rented shoes, patent leather. I asked the guy to bring.
Yo, whatever happened to that chick that got turned into a rat?
Amy?
Yeah, Amy.
Willow still has her. Oh my! Yeah. Well, that's pretty scary. It's scary in a Donnie Darko kind of way. That would be some cool... Oh.
Xander.
If that was fake, though, that would be a cool little addition. Until you see the window magically close
This is
up.
the way we came in, right? As I'm dealing with. Do you hear something?
Like I said, sounds like a hissing.
I just hear this ominous background music.
Noise?
I thought the word hissing kind of covered that nicely.
Maybe it's just the speakers.
I'm sorry. I didn't know. Sorry.
Chaz.
Ah, man. It's got that eye like the guy in the last Angel
That was
episode.
kinda cool how
What's alive?
they revealed how it was alive.
Yeah, it
How
was.
How it
He's in
was.
shock.
It wasn't alive
Chaz,
at
what
first,
happened?
but then it switched on us.
Conjuring. Well, let's be realistic here. Okay, your basic spells are usually only about 50-50.
Oh, yeah?
Dang.
Yeah.
But that she ain't lying though. Shame on these writers for not fleshing out Willow's
What does that
magic
mean?
character arc
I'm
yet.
not your sidekick. We just need to get up to the goat room and maybe we can find...
Does the circle change you to what you truly are?
You did like a rope or chains or something.
I slick wish that that's how Oz always looked when he was a
I
werewolf.
can do the guy.
Now I just gotta live with the fact that no one else can see me.
That was a little cheesy to me.
It was, but if you were standing there and you saw that, I bet it wouldn't be cheesy.
Yeah, you're right.
Even if I get them, we still have to find a way out of the house. Okay, here's what we should do. Hey! What's going on?
This feels
Stop.
relatable. Feels like she's being indecisive and it's overtaking her.
Get off!
Yeah, that was really cool. At first I thought she had it figured out, but then like
Oh my gosh. Flying in her mouth.
Because didn't you think she had it figured out at first?
It
When
did
The
look-
second one popped up, it was like, oh, okay.
That was awfully disturbing.
You said you think it was disturbing? I wasn't very disturbed by it that much.
Oh wow. That was one way to create a door. Oh, so you weren't disturbed by like you're stuck in like some type of mud or sand or whatever and people are coming out of it trying to drag you down while a guy with a broken neck is talking to you?
I mean, I'll admit it's kind of a metaphor for Buffy's already what her mental state is already.
Yeah.
Feeling like she has nobody and almost like she feels like she's being dragged down or dragging others down.
Does that make it not disturbing?
No, I just think it's a smart
Yeah.
visual.
Yeah, no, definitely. I agree with that. And I didn't want to say that too soon, but that's what I was saying when I was like, I think I see where this is going. Because when she stopped seeing Xander and all, and Oz turned to a werewolf, I'm like, oh. And now Buffy's facing being alone. Like, all these have been pretty cool metaphors.
It's okay. We're okay.
How they all
Not
just,
okay. We need to get out of here.
I'd offer my
Yeah, I can't
opinion,
trust
but you
that.
just aren't gonna hear it anyway.
how they all just end up in the room where it doesn't affect them.
Important to say.
We were brought here.
Exactly. It's way
We all
too
got so
convenient.
scared that we ended up here.
Summoning spell for something called...
Gaknar?
Yes. Somehow the beginning of the spell must have been triggered. Gagner's trying to manifest itself to come into being.
How?
It feeds on fear.
Ooh.
Buffy,
Ah.
this is Gagnar.
I don't want to fight
Ooh.
that.
No, Buffy, we're not going to be able to
Break
punch
this
our
down.
way out of
Whatever we
this
do,
one.
let's do it fast.
Destroying the mark of Gagnar.
Oh. Oh.
So, never mind. I guess we are going to be able to just punch our way out of this one.
It's not one of them, and willing
Oh.
to immediately bring forth the fear demon itself.
I spoke way too soon.
Buffy acted way too soon. He looks like...
Gaknar looks like he's into BDSM.
Oh, yeah, he does, actually. Oh!
Wow. You're kidding me, right?
This is Gaknar?
That thing was drawn to scale.
I am the Dark Lord
Drawn to scale.
Nightmares. Yeah.
Wow.
Quality.
There's no problem that cannot be solved by chocolate.
See, now Buffy sounded like her regular self.
What's it say?
Actual size.
Oh. Wow.
I don't know about this one, man. This one was a little... I don't know. I feel like this episode kind of took from... And this isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it's just something I noticed. This kind of like took from the last Halloween episode, kind of giving each character their own thing to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you noticed that too, but like they each kind of like they were all split up and they all were dealing with their own separate kind of issues, just kind of similar to how they did in the last when all their costumes changed.
Yeah, that is a cool little comparison there. They did do a very kind of like the same format in this one. They all got split up.
Do you think that was intentional?
That's a good question. I don't know whether like something about Halloween episodes brings that out of the writers or something, like because maybe just by nature it tends to focus on personal subjects that affect the character because it's oftentimes is going to be, something that's personal to them. Like in this episode, their fears, or in that episode, their costume that they chose. And even in Nightmare, which was kind of like a Halloween-y episode, I think, I think they kind of got separated in that one a bit too and dealt with things on their own because they were dealing with their own personal problems. So that's an interesting comparison, I think. And I could definitely see that either being intentional or not being intentional, but still happening for a reason, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
But I definitely think it's a case of them being able to them looking at an idea and seeing how they did it one way and then being able to be like, all right, let's try to execute this a little bit better now. Because I will say this Halloween episode was a little bit more, to me, the stakes were a little bit higher, and I felt like we were kind of just dealing with those ramifications or like the issues and the consequences of what Buffy was going through the last episode. And I don't remember the Halloween episode that we watched, the last Halloween episode. I don't remember it leading into it. I don't remember her feeling any kind of way from the episode before. Well, I just remember that she was wanting to be like that princess or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But right now, for some reason, I can't remember why. Like, I guess she just wanted to be like a regular girl from that time period. But what were you about to say?
Yeah, this one kind of, I felt like seeing her still so sad from Parker and everything. And then even still like kind of Angel or whatever. And then, like I said, you even saw
her dad.
that and her, oh yeah, definitely her dad. You definitely saw that shot where it seemed like Angel would have been like about to talk to her, come up on her, or like they would have been on one of their night walks or whatever.
Yeah. And she was
there
just
were
alone.
Definitely a lot of things, like a lot of subtle things that I think worked well for this episode.
Well, I think you were pretty on target at the beginning of the episode when you gave your prediction that it would be each of them facing their fears, because that's exactly what the house sort of did, was, have them each go through something that was particular to them. And I guess we got to see what they were most scared of at this point in time.
Yeah. I like they're going with this whole Xander, like his character arc is kind of like still feeling like the Zeppo still.
Mm-hmm.
I like that they didn't just make that like an episode that they just were going to do. I was curious to see if that was like their sign of like, this is what we're doing with Xander now. And it looks like that's definitely what they're doing with him, because now he's dealing with the same thing he was dealing with before, but just in the context of it being in college.
Yeah. That's a very good point. He's always the odd one out in some type of way, it seems like.
Yeah.
It's happening again.
And then it also feels like he still has those similar that characteristic of trying too hard to try to fit in, like like when he was trying to go for the movie or whatever, and then he was trying to like play it off like he didn't really care that they had already made plans.
Right, exactly. And
But I mean, he kind of made fun of himself a little bit
I only say that because I actually lied about having something to do. That was pretty funny. So, what were their in Nightmare? I'm trying to remember what all their biggest fears were, since it was like, based on their scariest dream or whatever. And I want to compare that to where they are now. Like, Buffy's biggest fear at that point was becoming a vampire, right? Or was
I think
that?
so.
And Willow's was like, I know she was, at the opera, and she was, afraid of, talking to the people. So it feels like and I can't remember off the top of my head what Xander was, but it feels like their, biggest fears or whatever have kind of matured and progressed as the series has gone on from being like those kind of more, common surface level things that, are still valid, but growing into these more deep seated, internally agonizing issues that people go through, like, acceptance and trusting other people, or letting other people in, or feeling alone, or, feeling accepted by other people, being scared of the monster that's inside of you, like Oz, or with Willow, just, I guess, not being a good witch, not being good at what she's like something that she feels really passionate about. She's scared that she can't live up to what she needs to, or live up to it in the way that she wants to. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, really cool.
Yeah, I mean, and I personally, again, it was another one of those instances where, like, a lot of it was definitely being driven by all of those metaphors and by all of those themes that the character was dealing with. And so the monster of the week ended up not being, the biggest, like, physical threat, literally, this time.
Yeah, but I mean, like, after having gone through that whole journey of like seeing them like face their fears and everything, like when it finally got to the point where they showed us the monster, or like Gaknar or whatever, like I kind of felt like I didn't feel any kind of way, because like it just felt like I had already experienced everything I would have experienced had the monster of the week been like the primary focus of the whole episode. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's kind of why there was something about this ending, or at least the way that everything played out, that I liked and that I didn't like. So I guess I can get to both of those. But to what you were just saying, I feel what you're saying there, but I also kind of liked how they managed to at least poke fun at that whole idea this time of, we've already basically seen everything. So what is this thing going to be? Like, they're really about to throw this thing at the end there. We're already kind of spent off everything else. And then it really does turn out to just be basically a non-factor, something that they could just stomp on. I thought that was pretty funny. Yeah. But what I guess I could say, and maybe I just slightly missed it, I don't know, but just off of this watch, looking at the way that everything culminated with them in that room, like with Willow running in, oh no, and Buffy just kind of crawling her way in there, or whatever happened, and Xander just being there, and Oz being in there cowering, it felt like they just all ended up there. Like she said, they were brought there by the house. They even acknowledged that. It's not like they got there in a specific way. They were just brought there. Then Giles breaks in with the chainsaw, which also I wanted to say, I really like the chainsaw thing because it reminds me of when Buffy had the rocket launcher. It's just like an actual real world object being used to fight these magical things that maybe wasn't accounted for when they were first, devised. But anyway, so it just felt like Giles goes in there, they get to the part with, Gaknar or whatever, and it turns out to be the small monster that you can stomp on, which was pretty funny because it kind of underlined the fact that the monster of the week didn't really matter that much this episode. It was the characters overcoming their fears or whatever. But it feels like when you think about it, where did they really overcome their fears?
I guess you're right. They kind of did just end up in the room. They really didn't there wasn't really that much of a resolution with any of the stuff that they were scared of. Yeah,
and like I said, maybe I'm missing something, but it's like, since they were just in the room, then it went to Giles coming in and them stomping on the monster, it doesn't feel like there was any, specific, and maybe this isn't necessary for this. Maybe this will continue on in the season, but it didn't feel like there was any specific moment where Buffy realized, you know what, I don't have to be afraid of being alone. Or Willow realized, you know what, I don't have to be worried about where I am as a witch right now. I'll keep on growing. Xander realized again, you know what, I can fit in however I want to fit in. I don't have to worry about how other people want to see me or want to accept me, So it felt like I just didn't get that moment in this episode that it feels like it would have been leading up to. So one thing that I've now later thought about is the fact that, in a way, the little monster that they killed could also be seen as the point where they overcome their fears in a way, only because the monster seems like something so scary, so big and scary that'll be hard to defeat. And then when they actually encounter it, it's just a small little thing that they easily could squish. So maybe that was in some way metaphorical for like their actual fears, and was portraying the fact that maybe their fears aren't as big and bad as they seem, and it's something that they could overcome easier than they expect.
One thing I'll say about Buffy, this is just a comment on her overall character. I think that they just made her like obsessed with like violence and beating people up. Like honestly, like she heard all of that, and then her solution was to just punch a hole in the ground.
Like really didn't even let him finish.
Like I honestly was like, when I said there's no way you're gonna punch your way out of this one, I was really like joking. I was like, there's obviously gonna be no way that she sits here and tries to muscle her way through this situation that clearly has no answer with like muscles. But no, that was honestly the biggest surprise for the whole episode for me, was seeing her do that.
Oh yeah, it's funny, you were actually kind of right, not in the sense that that's how they ended up resolving it, but just in the sense that was Buffy's first thought process. It's like you read her mind, probably.
Yeah, yeah, really.
And I wonder how intentional that was. Like, is that supposed to show how much Buffy kind of just immediately resorts to violence, even after
That's interesting.
Her holy water
that could
trick?
be a whole conversation in itself. Like honestly, honestly, I'd love to. I really would be interested to see how this progresses. Like with that certain aspect of her character. Like, does she ever like end up being like getting to that point in her life where she's like, you know what? I know I want to fight everybody in here right now, but maybe that's not the best idea. And honestly, we've seen her at that point with like Faith, because like we've seen the more rational side of Buffy, you know. But
yeah,
I just think that we see that more rash side way more than we see the rational side.
Yeah, and in times where she does kind of use her wit more, oftentimes it's like in Helpless. Like, I'm not going to say oftentimes because I can't think of any other example other than Helpless. But I know in Helpless, when she used her wit, she was literally forced to. But it also kind of brings up, and wow, it feels like we're like totally like, transcending everything about this episode and talking about Buffy in a way on a whole other different level. Yeah. But it's like when you just think about Slayers in general, their power is like that they were given is this strength or whatever, this super strength to fight vampires and all that. And I mean, maybe there's something else, inside of them that is a little bit different. I don't know. It feels like what we definitely concretely know, they have super strength, agility, all this physical prowess, all that type of stuff to be able to beat these vampires. I don't know if there's any like confirmation or there's been any talk so far on the show about, what ways Slayers are gifted in terms of like, their mental ability and their cunning and like, I don't know, just their overall heart and character. We know that Buffy has these things, we know that it's not like Buffy is lacking very much in these departments, but at the same time, it's a question of, okay, so has any of this been influenced by her Slayer powers, or is that just all naturally her? Because if that's naturally her, what you say?
Do you think, oh no, go ahead, finish.
I was just going to say, if that's naturally her and, the Slayer ability that she's gotten is this super strength, then I guess it would kind of make sense that she'd immediately jump to wanting to use that, because just naturally we as people, sometimes we tend to trust like we don't tend to trust what comes innately from ourselves as much. Like if I just all of a sudden had a new power or whatever of being super strong, I probably would want to use that over what I've just always had in terms of being like, you know, my intelligence or whatever, my mental wit. So I don't know. I mean, it's almost like they're in a way Slayers are set up for that kind of mentality.
Yeah, that's a good point. Never thought about it like that.
What were you about to ask?
I was gonna ask if you think Slayers have the cool trait.
Oh, the cool trait?
Yes.
I don't know. I mean, it seems like they all exhibit it in different ways. I mean, Buffy, you know, and Faith were pretty different, and then Kendra was also very different than them. So I guess
Didn't they
like,
kill Kendra?
yeah. What's so funny?
I don't know. I just find that funny. All right,
They were
you ready
like-
to read the facts?
The title "Fear Itself" is a reference to Franklin D. Roosevelt's famous "The only thing we need to fear, or the only thing we have to fear, is fear itself" speech from 1933. The external shots of the frat house are from the Rosenhelm mansion, the same one that would be used as the murder house in American Horror Story.
I've seen that season.
Oh, you have? I think I've seen like part of an episode. Did you recognize the frat house, Andy?
No, I didn't actually. But if I were to see it again, I probably would recognize it.
Makes sense. This book is a 1963 edition of the real book, Picture Museum of Sorcery, Magic, and Alchemy by Emile Grelot de Vries. I'm probably not pronouncing that right. With its duster and interior adapted into the prop used in the series. The actual text in the old book describes a special bus route will open in Dublin today, despite reports that it may cause traffic congestion as a result. 3 Buffy the Vampire Slayer action figures were produced based off this episode, like Fiesta Giles, Bunny Anya, and Fear Itself Anya. Okay. Interesting. Well, yeah, those are some facts from the episode. So, did you have anything else you wanted to say before we close up?
Nope.
All right. And just on a final note, I know you said you didn't really like the episode that much. Overall, I enjoyed the episode. There were some things that
Well, it's not that I didn't like the episode. Like, I think it had some things working for it, but I also think it had some things that it could have had ironed out a little better.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Makes sense.
It's not I don't think it'll go down as my favorite in season 4 so far.
Okay.
But it is my favorite out of the Halloween episodes that we've seen.
Okay. Cool. Well, go ahead and leave a comment down below and let us know what you guys thought about it. Everybody watching, like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you want to see more, and head on over to Patreon for the full uncut reactions way ahead of the YouTube schedule. Till next time, I'm Anthony.
And I'm Kylan.
And we'll see you all later.